Audible to all?
Good afternoon.
Yes, am I audible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there was a technical issue here in the university system, so that is why our session is late now. So let us start now. The previous session actually we had basically the assessment for you people. Today we will be discussing our next experiment. This is experiment number 6. Okay, so let me just share the experiment slide with you. Okay, so is the screen visible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so this is our experiment number 6. Experiment number 6. The aim is, I'll just show you the manual first. Experiment number 6, to plot and analyze the magnetization characteristics of a DC shunt generator. Characteristics of a DC shunt generator. DC shunt generator. Now, can you tell me what do you mean by a generator first? Any of you can answer. What do you mean by generator?
So it's a device to generate electricity by fossil fuel.
Yes. So basically, generator is something which generates electrical power. Okay. And it does so. How does it do? Can the power be created? We know law of conservation of energy, right? So as per that, the power or the energy form basically can be changed from one form to the other, isn't it? So we cannot just simply generate power. That means you are having a system here, okay? The output of which basically is electrical power. Electrical power. And the input here is, it should have some input also. So what will this do? This will take some energy at the input, and what will be that energy basically? That will be a mechanical energy. Okay, mechanical energy is basically converted into electrical power, and we say that that type of a device is a generator. That means mechanical means there is some motion we are talking about, and that motion will rotate the shaft of this generator. Now, what is this generator? This is basically an electrical machine. Electrical machine. What is the advantage here of having an electrical machine? The advantage is that the same electrical machine can be used as a generator as well as a motor. Okay, so this machine is an electrical machine. I say EM. Okay, electrical machine. Now in this particular case, it is working as a generator. That means it has an input which is a mechanical power and output is a electrical power. So an electrical machine converts either electrical to mechanical or mechanical to electrical. So same electrical machine can be used either as a generator or it can be used as a motor also. Fine. Now we all know how the basic motor works or a DC motor works or a DC generator works. You all have studied the working of this DC machine. Remember, you have a current carrying coil, okay, which is placed in a magnetic field. What will happen? You all remember the basic circuit for a electrical machine working as a generator or a motor. So let me just quickly draw that and explain you so that you get a better understanding if we are getting this revised here. So this is connected, this is the coil and this is connected through carbon brushes. We are having a carbon brush here. Not this big basically, but there is some issue with the connector here. So I've just made here. I've made here two poles, and these poles I'm calling this as North Pole and this as South Pole. That means the magnetic field will be from north to south. And how these poles are also formed? Can you tell? Anyone of you tell? How the poles are formed here? So we have windings on these material, magnetic material, which are bound on this magnetic material. Okay. As a result of which, what will happen?
Electric field is generated.
Yes, a magnetic field is generated. So I can say that this coil is connected in this particular fashion. And I'm connecting this to a field supply, a voltage, an excitation voltage here. So what will happen because of this? You can see whenever there is a current flowing through the circuit here, what will happen? There will be a field which is being produced, and that field will be from north to south. Okay, from north to south like this. This will be the direction of magnetic field. B. Fine. Now, in case of a DC motor, what happens? In case of a DC motor, so I am writing down here M with black. That means what is happening, that we are providing here with a input supply, DC supply. As a result of it, some electrical energy, there is some current which is flowing here. There is some current which flows through this. There is some current which is flowing through this in this particular direction, in this particular coil, through these carbon brushes and the commutator segments. This current will start flowing like this whenever we provide it and use it as a motor. Okay. Now this is the current which we are providing, and this is the field excitation we say, which is basically creating the flux in the machine. What happens whenever there is a current carrying conductor which is placed in a magnetic field? What will happen? According to the Fleming's left-hand rule, we know that there will be a force, isn't it? And where will be, what will be the direction of the force? According to the left hand, you can see current is flowing upwards. The field is from left to right. So use your left hand fingers. Okay. The thumb points to the direction of motion. B is in the direction of magnetic field and current is inside. So you will get a deflection here to the downside. Everyone agrees? If this is A, this is B, this is C, and then there is D. Will be a deflection downwards. Similarly, what happens to the coil CD side? You know that the current is flowing downwards. Magnetic field is from left to right, isn't it? So here you will get the field and the current is downwards, and there will be a motion which is coming out of the paper here. So you will get a motion in the opposite direction. As a result, what happens? The machine starts rotating, the coil starts rotating, isn't it? That is the case when we are talking about a motor. Now what happens whenever this same machine has to work as a generator? What will happen? What will be the difference here? Can anyone tell? The same machine, the same setup I want to use as a generator. क्या होगा? Are you people listening?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. How to make, how does the generator work? As just now I told you, like you have to have electrical power as the output, but input should be mechanical. That means in terms of some rotation. What does that mean? That means that you are providing here, just erase this, and that means that you are providing a rotation to the shaft, right? You're providing a rotation to the shaft, let's say in the clockwise direction, a torque, because of which what will happen? Now you are giving it a rotation up, and you are giving it a rotation down. And instead of giving a DC source here as an input, you are connecting here a load like this. There's a load which is connected, not a source. Okay. Now this load may be a resistance or any other element. Now what happens? You are giving it a torque. That means mechanically you have coupled something to the shaft. You may connect a diesel generator or any other type of diesel engine or any other rotating device which will rotate the shaft of this machine, the same machine. Okay. What will happen as a result? This will move upwards and this coil will be moving downwards, and now there is no current as of now. there is a coil which is placed again in a magnetic field. Again, we have to give a DC excitation for this to be creating a field. So it forms a north pole and south pole. So again, as earlier, the magnetic field is here from north to south. Now what will happen? We are having a conductor which is placed in a magnetic field, and this conductor is moving. What will happen? There will be an induced EMF in the coil, right? And it will lead to the flow of current through it. And according to which law we can find out? Which rule we can find out? By using the Fleming's right hand rule, isn't it? So we can find out what is the direction of current. Again, check your fingers, the 3 fingers, okay? The thumb points to the direction of motion. B is with the forefinger, and current is in the direction of your third finger. So if I point my right hand here in the direction of field from left to right, and movement is upwards for AB coil, what will happen? The current, where will be the current there? If movement is upwards, the current will be inside the coil here, right? Similarly, if I take the coil CD here, flux is moving from left to right, so direction of your forefinger is from left to right. Your movement is downwards, then that means your current is actually coming out. So this current which is coming out will be as part of your circuitry here, like this. So you can collect this current across this load and say that you have got some voltage developed because of this generator. Okay, so that is the way of understanding the same machine. Okay, the same electrical machine now is able to form a generator equivalent circuit also, or as well as a motor equivalent circuit also. I hope that this refreshes your memory. Now let us quickly come back to our experiment. Our experiment here is, okay, this is our experiment to plot and analyze the magnetization characteristics. This is to plot and analyze the magnetization characteristics of a DC shunt generator. Okay, so we have just now seen what is a generator. Now what is a DC shunt generator? Just erase this. What is a DC shunt generator? A DC shunt generator. Now generators can be of different types. Okay, there may be the one which we have just now seen, which we have just now drawn here. Okay, in this particular case, you can see that there is some, okay, there are 2 types of windings here. The first one, which is responsible to create the field in this north and south pole jo create kar raha hai. Okay, this winding is basically known as the field winding. Field winding. Okay, and the other one which is carrying the current, or the one which is rotated here, is basically known as the armature winding. Armature winding. Okay, field winding and armature winding. Now depending upon different type of machines, sometime you may have a rotating armature, sometime you may have a rotating field, and so on. Basically there should be 2 windings. One is known as a field winding, which is responsible for creation of magnetic flux in the machine, and the other one is known as a armature winding. So depending upon machines also this may vary, as well as type of connection. So when we say DC shunt generator, so there is a type of connection which is understood like that. So the first one, a DC shunt generator, can be understood as this whole coil. I'm going to represent here. This is my motor, and these are the carbon brushes. Okay. And then I will represent my field winding. So the field winding is represented parallel to this. in a shunt generator, field winding is represented parallel to the armature winding. So if I say that this is A and this is AA, armature connections. So whatever we have drawn from here between these 2 points, okay, between these 2 points, this is the coil armature winding I said, right? So this winding will have some amount of resistance. It will develop some amount of EMF, right? Induced EMF for a generator, isn't it? So this will have so many representations. So between these 2 points here, along with the brush drop, okay, so all those things, if I'm talking about the points between these 2, this is point, this is another point. So between them, I'll call this point as A and this as A. Okay, A and AA. These are the 2 points here. So I said that between these, we are having the armature will have some resistance, some back EMF is also developed. Just erase this. Like this. The back EMF is also developed between A and A. And the brushes are also there. There will be some voltage drop across the brushes also. So I'm calling this as small RA and this is the back EMF developed. And in this particular case, for a generator, we call this as the generated EMF EG. Okay, this EMF. So this coil is basically the coil which is inside is known as the armature coil, and the terminals of this armature coil are nothing but A and AA, just now which I have drawn here. Okay, these points AA. This is the armature coil. Now we know that there is another coil which is the field coil, which is responsible for production of flux. In this coil, you can see this is represented separately. Now this will also have some amount of resistance. So you can say that it has some amount of resistance, and this is connected parallel to the circuit here. Okay, RSH is the resistance, right? And this coil basically is known as, between these 2 points, it's known as F and FF. This is F terminal and this is FF, 2 Fs. This is known as the field coil. Now whenever the field coil here is connected parallel to the armature coil terminals like this type of a setup is known as a DC shunt connection. Okay, shunt, whenever we say, that means shunt term हम कहाँ use करते हैं जब भी there is a parallel connection. So whenever you are having this field coil which is connected parallel to this is known as a shunt connection. So this machine now, this can be representing a shunt generator here, and if I take the terminals outside across this and I connect a load here, if I'm connecting a load here, then this will, whatever the current it provides, that will be multiplied by this resistance and give me an output voltage. So if this is still incomplete because it is just showing the electrical representations. If I want to show where will be the mechanical input, it should have some mechanical input also. That means I have to show the shaft and represent this torque. Okay, so there is a torque of a prime mover, TPM. Okay, torque of the prime mover, which represents that this coil is actually rotating, and we are providing some shunt winding across the armature winding, which produces finally some current, and a back EMF is there. A back EMF, or we say generated EMF, which leads to the flow of current externally to the load. This connection is basically known as a DC shunt connection, and whenever the machine operates as a generator in this connection, it is known as a DC shunt generator. I hope that is clear to everyone. Now you can see here that the field winding is connected parallelly to the armature winding. So where will this field winding develop a current? Because it needs to have some current to develop the flux. हमको यहाँ पे flux अगर चाहिए, how will we, in this particular example, which I have drawn here, this field winding now, this is connected. If I say that this is my terminal, this is F, and let's say this terminal is FF. Okay, F and FF. Then between these two terminals, I have connected it to some voltage, separate voltage. Isn't it? This leads to the flow of current through it. Whenever current flows through it, what will happen? It will generate some magnetic field from north to south, which is responsible for the flux lines. But here, if I'm connecting this just parallel in a shunt machine, we are connecting this F and FF parallel to the armature winding itself. Then how will the current be produced? How will the flux be produced, first of all? Because we need to produce some flux, isn't it? How will the flux be produced? Can anyone tell? Any of you can answer. Rule number 30, 31, 33. How will the flux be produced?
By inducing EMF,
Can you repeat?
induce EMF.
Induced EMF. But for producing an induced EMF, there should be, what is the result? Induced EMF is basically a result, now. It is an induced EMF, as the name suggests. So it is the result of something. हमारे पास,
By the flow of current.
yes, but how will the current flow? Is there any energy source
Change
you
of
have connected?
potential.
There is no energy source which you have connected ना for a shunt generator. If it was this case, earlier जो हमारा ये circuit है, इसमें तो we have provided some energy source here. Let me call this as VF, the field voltage, okay, external field voltage VF. So this we have connected here. So that will lead to production of this current, and this current now flows through this field winding and produces magnetic flux. But now we don't have this VF in our shunt circuit, isn't it? We have just connection of this F and FF parallel to this. So how will be the magnetic flux created? So I can say that the flux in the machine here how is the flux related? So if I am saying that there is my machine which is connected parallel, which is connected in shunt fashion, okay, and I'm giving it a rotation, what will happen? Initially you don't have any flux in the machine. That means there is no back EMF initially, let's say. But how is the back EMF? Whenever it starts rotating, what will happen? Because we are giving it a mechanical input, so it starts rotating. When it rotates, something happens here. So to understand what is the relationship between this generated EMF and this speed, whenever I say torque means it is producing a rotation. Rotation will lead to some speed, isn't it? So we need to find out the relationship between this generated EMF and the speed. How do you find out the relationship? So there is an expression. I'm going to write down that. You all have to remember this. So the generated EMF E is equal to pi Zn by 60 into P by A. Into P by A. So this is an expression, but what are these individual terms here? Okay, pi Zn by 60 into P by A. What is pi phi is the flux.
Flux.
Yeah, everyone knows what is phi. So phi is flux in Webers. What is Z? Or let's see the terms which we know. N is basically the, what is N? The speed
Number
of,
of coils.
no, it is the speed
Okay.
of rotation. Speed of rotation in RPM. Speed of rotation in RPM, revolutions per minute. Okay. And what is Z here? Z is the number of conductors. So you can see here, whenever I say number of conductors, what does that signify? That tells us that this is just a single coil which we have represented in this circuit, in this armature. But you will have multiple coils like this. That will lead to multiple phases A, B, C, D, right? Multiple coils like this will be there throughout the periphery. So you'll have a high number of conductors to which this is happening, and all of them will produce some EMF, induced EMF, and this would be the total EMF we are calculating. So it gets multiplied by this total number of conductors here. So Z is the total number of conductors, phi is the flux, N is the speed in RPM. What is P? P is the number of poles. Okay, P is the number of poles. Number of poles. And what is A? A is basically the number of parallel paths. Number of parallel paths. So depending upon the type of winding which you are going to use, there are two types of windings. We don't have to study that, but I'm just telling that what is A is the number of parallel paths, and this A will be equal to, there are two types. A will be equal to the number of poles. That means the number of parallel paths will be equal to number of poles for a specific type of winding which is known as a lap winding, and A is equal to 2. It is fixed for a wave winding. For a wave winding, this is lap winding and this is wave winding. WAVE, wave winding. But there are types of winding, different types of winding. So depending upon whether it is a lap winding is a continuous wave, continuous winding. Whereas in wave, you have a wave type of structure. So I'm not going to explain that because it will take a lot of time. It itself is a very detailed part, types of windings and so on. So just remember as of now that it is a type of connection of windings because you have multiple coils, isn't it? So you have to connect them somehow. So two types of connections are there. One is lap connection or lap winding, and the other one is a type of wave winding. If it is a lap winding, then number of parallel paths is equal to the number of poles. If it is a wave winding, the number of parallel paths A is equal to 2. Fine. So these are the basic quantities and the relationship between E, phi, Z, and P and A. So if I take other things as constant here, because if I look at this term here, induced EMF, so Z, once the machine has been built, Z is fixed. Z cannot be varied. Number of conductors total. Total number of poles cannot be varied. The number of parallel paths cannot be varied. If the winding is done in one particular way, it cannot be changed. So these things are constant. 60 also is a constant. So I can say that all these things can be converted into a constant, and I can say that induced EMF E can be written here. So the induced EMF E can be written as constant K multiplied by, what are the other things? Flux multiplied by M. the speed. Now speed and flux. Speed is the speed of the prime mover, isn't it? The speed with which your prime mover is rotating. And what is phi? Phi is the flux of the machine. It will not remain always constant. It will depend upon the field current, right? So these two are the things which can vary while the machine is operating. Other things will remain constant. So I can represent it by a constant of proportionality K. So E can be written as E is equal to K phi into omega or K phi N, where N is in RPM here. I hope that is clear. So what you can understand from here? You can understand that speed here is directly proportional to N. Speed is directly proportional to N. So if N is increasing, I can say that my induced EMF will also increase. Fine. Now let us come back here to how the machine is actually rotating here. We don't have any source, energy source, right? So what happens? So we study here some properties of magnetic materials. So the core of this machine is made of magnetic material. The poles, whenever we say poles, these are the poles. Here we have north and south poles. So two poles are there, north and south. Okay. So this material of the core of this poles is a magnetic material, and it will have some amount of magnetic residual nature, okay, or residual magnetism. Okay. The residual magnetism. Residual magnetism. What is residual magnetism? It is the amount of magnetic flux which is left in a magnetic material even after the magnetic material is no longer excited. That means if I am having some magnetic material, मैंने इसको इस circuit को, for example, this one which you have drawn, this field winding, okay, I have wound on this particular north and south has been formed. I have provided a supply, as a result of which a magnetic flux has been established, right? Now, whenever I turn this supply off, VF मैं zero कर देता हूँ, what will happen? The flux which is being produced by the source will become zero, but this magnetic core, these are magnetic materials, right? So inside this there are some dipoles which are being formed, and these dipoles, they are having some direction, and even though the total excitation voltage is removed, there is still some dipoles which are aligned together in a particular direction, which will lead to some small amount of residual magnetism. That means there will be still some magnetic flux left even after removing the field voltage. That is known as the residual magnetism, and this is the property of magnetic materials. So depending upon the material, different materials will have different residual magnetism in them. Okay, so this property of having some residual magnetism is known as retentivity. Retentivity. That means what is retentivity? It is the capability of a magnetic material, or it is the amount of magnetic flux which is left or which is still present even after removing the excitation voltage. That residual magnetism, that nature or that degree of that is known as retentivity. The property is known as retentivity of your retentivity of your magnetic material. So why is it important? It's important because what will happen whenever you have, let's say, excited this machine once earlier, you may have connected some excitation source across this. आपने पहले maybe the core you might have excited like this by some energy source. What would have happened? As a result of which there would have been some flux here which is being produced, and the field winding से जो current है that magnetizes the circuit. As a result of which there is a magnetic field which was present in the circuit, and then you remove this. You have opened this circuit here. Now there is no current flowing through this, but still there is some residual magnetism, right? Now because of that residual magnetism, what will happen? Because whenever there is a rotation, the core is already having some magnetic flux, retentivity, right? So what is this E? E let me say that this, since we are talking about generator, so let me call this EG. EG will be directly proportional. We have just now seen that it is directly proportional to flux multiplied by the speed. Now, whenever there is a speed, that means speed is increased and the residual magnetic flux is there. Let me call that magnetic flux as phi residual, small amount of flux. This will be very, very weak. But if the speed is increased and the flux still is there, small amount of flux is still there, that will lead to production of the generated EMF, isn't it? Because of the residual magnetism. If this generated EMF increases, what will happen eventually? If this increases, this is increasing, this will lead to a flow of current through it now, isn't it? Now, because this EMF EG is coming across your field winding also, they are connected in parallel, isn't it? So I can say that this E will come across the field winding, and EG divided by the shunt winding or the field winding resistance will give you a field current, right? This will be giving us a field current IF, and this increases because EG has increased now. Generated EMF has somewhat, there is some small amount of generated EMF because small amount of residual flux is there. The machine starts rotating because of the prime mover torque. Generated EMF is produced small, but this small EMF divided by RSH, the resistance of this field winding, will produce some small amount of current. Now this also increases. Now this, whenever IF increases, what happens? We know that the flux is directly proportional to the current, right? If the magnitude of current increases, automatically the flux will also increase, right? So flux also increases again. Now the flux which is being produced by this, let me call this as phi F. Now this flux which is produced by the current IF, okay, if this is in the direction of the original residual magnetism, let's say the original residual magnetism is in this direction, phi residual, okay, and if your flux which is produced by the field current here, right, now this is also in the same direction, what will happen? Small amount of phi residual was there, okay, this is also in this direction and phi residual is also in this direction. Let's say this is very, very small, this is also, let's say, very, very small, but they are adding together and they form a total flux here, phi total, that is how much? Phi F plus phi residual, okay, phi F plus phi residual. So this total increases now, they both are increasing, that means this is also increasing. Whenever I say down arrow, that means these are very just small, okay, but they are increasing. So this is also small value, this is also small value, but they are increasing. As a result of which total flux in the machine increases. When the total flux in the machine increases with a speed, specific speed n, if this is increasing total flux, what will happen? EG will again increase. So EG is equal to K into phi into n. So n, even though it is kept constant only, let me say that it is whatever our initial speed was there, that same speed we are not increasing, let's say, speed separately, okay, but flux has increased, total flux, as a result of which again EG will increase. If EG increases, then we have just now seen EG divided by RSH, what will happen? EG is increased, that means this will lead to increase in the field current. The field current will increase, and the field current increase will again lead to an increase of flux, phi F, and phi F is already aiding the residual flux, as a result of which again total flux increases, and this whole process is cumulative action, okay. This process is known as a cumulative action. So with a very small amount of residual flux, now your system starts having increased and increased amount of flux, and the machine starts generating a higher amount of induced EMF. Okay, this process is basically known as, because of this cumulative action, what is happening basically? At the end, what is happening? The back EMF or this generated EMF is increasing. So this process is known as voltage buildup. Voltage buildup of a DC shunt generator. This is known as the voltage buildup of a DC shunt generator. Fine. So this is possible only when there is some residual magnetic flux. If that flux is not there, this is not going to happen. Fine. So now let us see what is the correct. So now we have understood कैसे एक DC shunt generator जो है वो, how does it produces electricity, EG, and that EG generated EMF is taken out across the load, and that is taken as your total current. Fine. Now what is the characteristics, magnetization characteristics जो हमें plot करना है? So what is the magnetization characteristics? Magnetization characteristics which you have to plot in this experiment. So what we are going to do here, we have the equation here, E is equal to K E is equal to K into phi into N, isn't it? So now if I keep the speed of the machine constant, that means if I am rotating it with some prime mover and I am keeping the speed constant, then K is a constant, right? Is a constant, N is a constant now, but the flux in the machine can vary, right? But what is the flux in the machine? I can write down this as some constant K1 into phi. Now what is the flux depending upon? We know that flux is directly proportional to the field current IF, isn't it? Flux is directly proportional to the field current. The flux is developed by the flowing of field current through the machine. So it is directly proportional to this. So I can say that this can be written as is equal to some constant K2 times IF, isn't it? Flux can be written as K2 times IF. So if I substitute it here, what will you get? K1 into K2 times IF. K1 into K2 times IF. Now this will lead to some constant. I can say that E, what can we comment like this? E can be written here as some constant K3 times IF. That means generated EMF is directly proportional to the field current. So what will be the characteristics? If I ask you to plot this characteristics, you may directly say that if I'm plotting E on y-axis and the field current on the x-axis, then how will be the curve? It should be a straight line, y is equal to mx. But that is not so simple, because here the relationship, even though we have related it is directly proportional, but this induced EMF initially, how did this was created? Even if the field current was 0, there was some generated EMF produced. Why? Because of the residual magnetism, right? So what will be the graph here? The graph will not start from 0, it will start from a small constant value, and it will initially vary linearly like this, There's a linear variation, y is equal to mx. But after some time, we know that even if we increase the value of the field current, the generated EMF cannot increase linearly. Unlimited थोड़ी ना हो जाएगा voltage, isn't it? The generated EMF cannot increase linearly till a very high value. So there will be a linear range. So from here, this point to this point here, you can say that this is a linear range. After this, what happens? The machine starts saturation. The machine gets saturated. That means you will reach a point at which you will reach the maximum amount of generated EMF. After which there is no much increase in generated EMF, even if the field current is increased. The machine voltage will get settled to this point. Okay, so this is, for example, at a particular speed, n1. Similarly, you will have, if I draw for another speed, you will have another characteristics. Another speed, third speed, another characteristics, and so on. So what we do to get the magnet, this is the magnetization characteristics. And what is this difference? Here there is a difference here. So this difference between this point and this zero. Okay. What is this representing? This is representing a voltage corresponding to the, this region corresponds to the voltage for residual magnetism. Residual magnetism. So it may be asked to you why this does not start at origin. If E is directly proportional to IF, why is it not directly starting? Because even if the field current is zero, still there is some generated EMF being produced. Why is it produced? Because of the residual magnetic flux in the machine. Is it clear to everyone? Is it clear to all?
Yes, sir.
So you may
Yes,
have
sir.
another, you may have another at another speed you may have another curve. So for example, like this, you may have for N2 and so on. So depending upon that, your final induced EMF voltage may vary. Is it clear? So this is your characteristics which we have to plot. So हमें क्या plot करना है? हम, what we are going to do in this experiment, let me just go to that finally. So this is our circuit here. So in this circuit, the right part is basically your generator. जो हमें machine, this machine पे हमें find out करना है parameters here, characteristics find out करना है, that is on the right hand side. And there is a left hand side में भी machine है. What is that machine basically? That is the prime mover. We know that there should be some mechanical power, isn't it? So what we are going to have here is to get, this is for example our generator, okay, G, but this should get some rotation here, and we need to measure this characteristics, the generated EMF EG versus the field current. इसमें जो field में जो current हो रहा है IF, that is what we need to plot. E versus IF. This characteristics we should plot. But to rotate this, it should get some mechanical energy to rotate the shaft. That is done again with the help of another electrical machine, another DC machine, which is another DC motor. Okay, so there will be a similar machine here on the left hand side also, but it will be operated as a motor here. That means if it is operated as motor, that means we are providing here it with a DC voltage. Input is a DC voltage. Output is mechanical torque. So it will rotate this shaft of the generator. And this generator, we can connect it at load and we can connect it at no load conditions and so on. So what we are going to do here is we are connecting it at no load condition. That means this is open circuit here. And whenever there is an open circuit, whatever the field winding current is there, correspondingly whatever the generated EMF is there, that characteristics we are going to plot. So if I go to the main circuit diagram, you can see here, this is your main circuit diagram. The right hand side is the one which is your generator. In generator, I told you there is armature coil between A and AA. So that is inside this. We are having two carbon brushes and these connections are taken out, and outside you can see there is a field winding F and FF, right? And to control the field current, we are connecting it with a field rheostat. There is a variable resistance which is connected here. Everyone can see this? Now this variable resistance is helpful to change the amount of field current flowing through this circuit. Because if you change the resistance, the current flowing through this winding will change. Okay, and this is basically connected at no load condition. Even though it is, you can see here, it is a voltmeter. Voltmeter is not a load. Voltmeter is just a measuring equipment. Basically, it is connected like this to a open circuit. There is no load connected. Just this voltmeter is connected to measure the voltage which is generated here. And what is this generated EMF? That is nothing but your EG across this. Okay, so what are you measuring here? Ammeter is connected in this field winding. That means it will measure your field winding current IF. Then between this EG and IF, you need to plot the characteristics. Okay. On y-axis there should be EG, and on x-axis there should be the field current IF. And on the left hand side, I told you there is a shaft, and this is on the left hand side is a motor. For motor also, again we are going to use the same similar DC machine. Another one motor, if it is DC machine, then it will be given an input voltage. Okay, it will also have some field winding and an armature winding. So field winding, you can see it is connected like this. Again, it is connected with a variable resistance in order to change the speed of the machine. So we are connecting this variable resistance in the series circuit of the speed, and again armature is connected like this. So again, this type of a connection is also a shunt connection. This machine is also on the left hand side, the motor is also connected in a shunt fashion, where FF with the variable rheostat is connected parallel to A dash, the armature, and the supply to that is given here from a DC source, so plus and minus 230 volt DC source with the help of a switch and fuse unit. So we provide here, we connect this with the help of this switch. Current flows through this. Now the field current will start flowing like this because of this voltage coming across it. There will be some field current and there will be some armature current. What will happen because of this? There will be a torque which is produced. Current carrying coil which is placed in a magnetic field leads to the production of rotation or torque. Now this torque will rotate the second machine here, which is working as a generator. Okay, and in that there is no load connected here. We are just measuring the voltage and the field current for us. And one important thing which you need to understand is by connecting this, we increase the speed and make it rotate at a constant speed. Speed we keep it constant, rated value, at the rated value of this machine. Then we don't change this machine. हमने बस इसको machine को rotate किया, turn this on, it starts as a motor, and by controlling this rheostat here, we adjust the speed of the machine and bring it to a constant value of the rating of the machine, rated speed of the machine. Fine. And then you can see here the DC shunt. You are having two machines here, first machine and second machine. Shunt motor, the first one. So 50, both have the same speed here, 1500 RPM. So we keep this, you turn this on, make the rated speed equal to 1500 RPM and leave that system like this. It will continuously give us rotation at 1500 RPM and start measuring the field current variation with respect to EG by varying the field rheostat, by varying this rheostat. Fine, so that is our experiment today. So there is some theory which is given, you can go through this later also. And what is the procedure? The procedure is to switch on the DC supply at the input side, start the DC motor using the starter, adjust the field rheostat of DC machine to run the machine at 1500 RPM. Now with field winding unexcited, note the no load induced EMF in the generator. That means in this particular case, we will measure it with IF to be 0. There is no excitation here. To get this point, we need to get this point, right, from which this graph starts. So to get that, we need to make sure that there is no current flowing through the circuit here. That means maximum resistance we keep in the circuit so that there is almost no current flowing through the field. Then also there will be some induced EMF. That will be the value we need to note down first. And then gradually vary this rheostat such that resistance reduces, slowly the current starts increasing and back EMF or this generated EMF increases. Now find out the no load EMF E0. Now increase the field current IF in steps using the rheostat and note down the corresponding EMF till it reaches the rated voltage. So you can see here what are the observation column values we have to measure. The serial number is the field current. That means this is the ammeter here which we were talking about. And this is the voltmeter which is connected here on the generator side. So you can see by varying the field rheostat, the field current starts increasing here slowly, as well as the generated EMF also increases. We call this no load EMF because there is no load connected on the generator here. You can see here this keeping on increasing like this unless it reaches its rated value, which is 300 volts. And finally, once you get this observation table, what you have to do, you have to draw the graph between E versus IF, where IF is on the x-axis and E is on the y-axis. Is it clear to all? So this is a very simple experiment. I just wanted to give you the basis of or an understanding of what is a generator, what are the type of winding, how do we connect it, what do you mean by shunt connection, and finally how do you get this type of a characteristics. So now I'll just play one video which will also be shared with you later, and you can watch that video right now also later also in case you are having difficulty in watching it. Let me just download that in my system first. I hope I'm audible to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so by the time the video is actually getting downloaded, I'll just tell you one more thing here. these characteristics we were talking about. Okay, for different speeds you will get different characteristics, isn't it? So like this, these two characteristics are at different speeds. So we just here also there is something which is known as critical field resistance. Okay, critical field resistance. So if I'm drawing this characteristics for E versus IF, the field current. Okay. Now the characteristics which we are having here is something like this. Now this is E versus IF. Basically this is voltage divided by current. So basically this is telling me if I take the slope of this line, if I take the slope of this line at this point, I will get a line like this. So what will this tell me? This tells me that this line is the resistance of the curve here. So this will be corresponding to your field resistance RF, because this is the voltage developed and this is the field current. The ratio of that basic, or the slope of this curve will basically give you a indication of the resistance of the field winding. Now what happens at this point? At this point, this line is actually cutting the characteristics, right? So this point is basically known as your induced EMF, the total induced EMF E. Okay. Now, am I audible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm audible to all. No, yeah. So
Yes,
please
sir.
check the connection. Whoever is finding it difficult to hear, please check the connections at your side. So this is the line which I've drawn. Now, if I'm increasing the field resistance, what will happen? The slope will increase. The slope will increase means you may have a line something like, erase this. You may have another line like this, which is cutting here. Okay. So as a result of which, what is happening finally? This is the induced EMF. So induced EMF, you can see here that induced EMF has reduced from the initial value to the next value. This is, let's say, for RF1. This is for RF2. The field resistance has increased. The slope has increased. If slope has increased, it is cutting at this point, and this is the induced EMF, total induced EMF of the machine, this generated EMF. Now what will happen if we again increase the field resistance? Again, field resistance, if we increase, there may be a point at which this line now becomes a tangent to this. Okay, the line basically, this field line winding resistance, the field circuit resistance becomes equal to such that the slope is a line which is tangent to this curve, the open circuit characteristics, right? RF3. Now, this is just touching at this point. This may be just touching it at any particular point, maybe at this point or the earlier point and so on. Maybe touching here at this point, somewhere here. This is EF1, EF2 and EF3, E3. If we again increase the field winding resistance, not winding resistance, field circuit resistance, something like this. Let's say this is your increased slope RF4. You can clearly see that this line is not at all cutting your characteristics, original characteristics. So the point at which it cuts will show you how much is the induced EMF. But here it is not cutting at all. That means you can say that there is no induced EMF itself. E4 is near to 0. Right? So you can see here that at what is the boundary condition here? There will be a boundary condition after which, if the field resistance is more than that, there will be no induced EMF developed in the machine. Okay, and that boundary condition or that value of resistance is known as the critical resistance. Critical resistance. resistance. So this, in this particular case, what is the boundary value? The boundary is when your line, the slope becomes the tangent to your curve. Now what is that in this particular case? It is nothing but RF3. At that point, it just became a tangent to this point, and this leads to the induced EMF, which is at its maximum value in this particular case, E3. Any further increase in the value of field resistance will lead to no production of induced EMF. So no generation action take place. Okay, so what is critical field resistance? There is something which is defined here as field resistance RF critical CR. What is this term? This is the maximum amount of resistance which is present in the field circuit above which there will be no successful buildup of voltage and no induced EMF in the machine. Is this clear? What is the field critical resistance? The critical field resistance is the maximum amount of resistance above which, if you go above which, there will be no induced EMF, no voltage buildup and no induced EMF. Fine. So that is one term which I wanted to tell you. And there is another term which I want to tell you here. Again, we may have this E versus IF curve. Okay. This is E versus IF. Now, we may have characteristics at different speeds. So we had seen at different speeds, कैसे होता है variation. So let's say this is the first variation. This is our first speed at N1. Okay. Now, if I go at, and for this characteristics, if we plot, what is the characteristics here? Draw from here the line yeah. So as per this, we are having a line like this. Okay. Critical field resistance, some not critical, but some resistance RF is there. That is fixed. The field resistance in the winding is now fixed. But now the speed at which I am rotating the machine here by the prime mover speed has gone low. What will happen? So here initially we know what is the induced EMF value. This much is the induced EMF value, E1, at this condition, at which the field resistance is plotted. Field resistance is there. This is not changed. This is getting fixed. But what is changing here now? The speed is changing. Now you have second curve here, for which your curve will be something like this. So for second curve, the curve may be something like this at reduced speed N2. Now where is it meeting? This is field, you are not changing field resistance. That means your induced EMF new value will be somewhere here. You can clearly see that lower speed when you operate, the generated EMF which you get is lower. E2 is lower than E1. Now there may be a case here when if you further lower the speed, then there may be a chance that your curve becomes tangent to the characteristics. This is N3. If you reduce the speed more, you will get a tangent like this. This field resistance line will be equal to the tangent to this. That means where is it touching? It is meeting at this point. That means this will be your E3. Any further decrease in the speed, N1 is reduced to N2, N2 is reduced to N3. Any further reduce in the speed, what will happen? Like this, it will go like this, N4 and so on. N4 is again smaller than N3. You can see that this line is no longer touching your machine speed line, this characteristics line, this RF line, which is fixed here. It is not touching this line, as a result of which induced EMF will be almost zero. E4 will be nearly zero. So here also I can say that the machine speed should not fall below a specific value. You can see here until it becomes tangent. That is the boundary condition. Okay. and we call this particular speed as critical speed, NCR. What is NCR? The critical speed. So the critical speed is the speed of the DC shunt generator, or the minimum speed of the DC shunt generator, below which there will be no generator action taking place and no induced EMF will be developed. Okay, अगर इससे नीचे चले जाएंगे, this is the minimum value. इससे भी अगर आप स्पीड कम कर देंगे अगर किसी भी जनरेटर का, then you will not develop any generated EMF. That is known as the critical speed, and this is the critical field resistance. Critical field resistance is its maximum value of resistance which is present in the circuit. Critical speed is the minimum value of speed below which अगर आप इससे भी नीचे जाते हैं then you will not have any voltage build up in the circuit. I hope that is clear to everyone. Fine. So this is about the experiment. These 2 points also I wanted to explain. Now the video is ready. Let us quickly see this. I'll also share this with you. So don't worry, you can watch it later also. And you'll be able to understand how we have done it in the lab. So let us quickly see this. I'm playing the video, just a second, okay? It's taking some time. It's a new system here. So let me just share it with you. Just a second. Okay, so I'm going to play the video. I hope this is visible to everyone. the video page, and if the voice is also audible to
Yes,
you,
sir.
then yeah, if the voice is also audible, you can just show that with the thumbs up sign in the notifications. Fine. So I'm just going to play it now.
Generator open circuit characteristics of the shunt generator. Now this is a basic circuit diagram of the DC shunt generator, in which first of all we are applying 230 volt through the switch fuse unit to the DC motor. So this is a DC motor, and this DC motor is started from the 3-point starter. So this the positive voltage is given to the L terminal, that is A for the armature and F for the field. So these armature of the DC shunt motor, and A is a positive terminal, double A is a negative terminal. It is connected to the negative terminal. This is a field winding. The basic function of this field winding is to vary the speed of the DC shunt motor. So here, by use of this variac, we can change the speed of the DC shunt motor. Now this DC shunt motor is connected and it is coupled with the DC shunt generator. So the mechanical and whatever here we are applying the electric energy, it is converted into the mechanical energy by use of the motor, and this motor will couple with the generator. So this motor will drive the generator. Now as we drive this generator, the EMF is induced in the generator according to the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, and this what are the voltage generated inside the armature of the generator, it will be gives the power to the field winding of the generator itself. So cumulatively, that means by cumulatively the voltage will be developed. So here by changing the rheostat, here we are changing the value of the rheostat, which is connected in series the field winding of the generator. Now basic function of this field winding, either in a motor or generator, its function is to generate the magnetic flux. So the magnetic flux generated by this field winding, and it is induce the voltage inside the armature, and we have to vary this value of the resistance which is connected in a series with the field winding, and varying this armature, we have to measure the generated voltage. So whatever the generated voltage at this terminal, we have to measure with this voltmeter. So here we have to take the two reading. First reading is field current, which is passing through this path from positive to negative, and second reading we have to take, that is a voltage across the generator. So this is the voltage connected across the generator. So we have to find out the open circuit characteristics of the DC shunt generator by use of this practical. So now we can perform this practical and we can see how we have to connect the connection and what are the readings we have to take. Now this is a DC motor as per the figure circuit diagram we already discussed. Now this is a basic this is a DC motor that will drive the DC generator. Now this is a basic DC motor. It has a 220 volt input voltage. It has a power is a 5 HP. This is a 5 HP motor, and this is a positive AAA voltage that is shown in a figure, that is A and AA, and this is F and double F. So this is a armature terminal AA and FFF. This is a field winding and armature connection of the DC shunt motor. Now this DC shunt motor is coupled mechanically by use of this mechanical coupling, and this you can see here this is a mechanical coupling, and as we drive the motor, it automatically drive the generator. Now this sensor that will sense the speed of the motor. So by use of this sensor we can sense the speed and we can observe the reading on the meter. Now this motor is coupled with the generator. This is the generator, and these are the terminals of the generator. That is a AA and YYY and ZZZ. So actually here we have to use a shunt motor. So here we have to connect the motor in AAA and FFF. So this is a basic generator. It is also a 5 HP motor, 5 HP generator, and we have to find out the what is the behavior of the output voltage with respect to field current of this generator. Yes. Now this is our panel board. These are a panel board on which we are connecting the generator and motor. Now first of all we can start with the DC supply. This is a DC supply we obtained from the DC sub source. Now this one is starter. So this is a basic starter of the DC shunt motor. So as we are move this starter from this left side to right side, the motor is accelerated. The function of this starter is to limit the starting current, and it will increase the speed of the motor gradually. Now after that, this is a basic connection diagram as per the circuit diagram. Now here, first of all, this 230 volt, this is a positive voltage, this is a negative voltage. So this positive voltage, it is given to the L terminal as shown in a figure. Second, this L, that means the line. Now from this line, it is to go inside the armature. Now this A terminal of the armature, it is connected with A of the starter. Similarly, the F terminal, the field winding, it is connected with the rheostat. The function of this rheostat is to control the field current of this armature, field of this motor. And this negative terminal or the second terminal of the field winding, it is connected with the negative terminal of the DC supply, and AA, it is also a negative terminal, it is connected with the negative terminal of the DC supply. So in this how we can we have connect the DC motor and we can change the field winding, and we can change the speed of the generator. Now as we saw, this motor, we are driving this motor, and this motor will coupled with this generator. Now this is the first in armature we have a first terminal A, that is a first positive terminal of armature. It is connected with the digital voltmeter. So we have to we can measure the voltage across this voltmeter. So this voltmeter, this is a 1000 volt DC voltmeter. It is connected across the A terminal and AA terminal. So this one is positive and this one is negative. Now the field voltage, this one is also a DC ammeter. So here, what are the generated voltage? It is current is passing through this positive terminal. It is flow inside this ammeter, and it is go inside the field winding. So we can measure the field current. What are the field current we have to measure? That is measured from this DC ammeter. And this negative terminal, it is connected with this rheostat. So we have to change the value of this rheostat, and we can change the generated voltage across this AA terminal, and we have to find out what should be the field current. So here these are the basic ratings you have to keep in mind. This is the basic rating of DC shunt motor. It is 5 HP, 220 volt and 19 ampere and 1500 RPM motor. RPM, that is the revolution per minute. Similarly, it is coupled with DC compound generator. It is a combination of shunt and series, but here we are using this generator as a shunt motor. So shunt generator. So here we use this generator, shunt generator, and it is a 3.2 kilowatt, 220 volt, 14.5 ampere and 1500 RPM. After explaining the circuit diagram, now we are taking the readings of this practical, and we can plot the characteristics of the open circuit characteristics of the DC generator. We can start the motor. Here we are switch on the DC supply. This is the main power of the meters. Now here you can see that gradually we can increase the starter. If we are moving the starter from left to right, and it will gradually increase the speed of the motor. So here the speed of the motor is increased gradually by increasing the voltage, DC voltage. So this one is the speed of the motor at presently. As per the rating, it has to be rotated at 1500 RPM. So we have to control this field of the motor. So the function of this field motor is to generate the appropriate speed of the motor. So here we are varying the value of rheostat. and we are obtaining the speed that is a 1500 rpm as per the rating. So here we are running the DC motor at the rated speed. Now the generator is already running at 1500 rpm. Now you can observe it here. We have obtained 32 volts. So at presently we are not exciting the generator, but this is a self-induced EMF, and the ampere which is flowing through the field winding, that is a 0.04 ampere. So now gradually we are changing the field current, and it will be increased, and we have to take the reading of the generated voltage across the generator, and we have to take the reading of the field current, which is we have to observe from this ammeter reading. Now we can vary the value of rheostat, which is connected with the field winding of the generator. Now basic function, as we already discussed, the function of this field rheostat is to change the field current. Now here by changing this rheostat, we can change the value of field current which is flowing through the field winding, and as the field winding current will be changed, it will generate the magnetic field, and that magnetic field will generate the voltage. So as you can see it, as we are gradually increasing the field current, the generated voltage will be increased. So that we have to take. This is our second reading. Here you can see that we are gradually increasing the field current. Now it is a 0.13, and the generated voltage DC is 72 volt. Now here furtherly we increase the value of the field current, that is a 0.3, and the generated voltage is a 161 volt. Here the value of field current is now 0.36, and generated voltage is 181. Now it is a 0.42, and the reading is 204. Now the current is 0.45, and the voltage is 209 volt DC. Now the field current is 0.49, and generated voltage is 224 volt. Now the DC field current is 0.51, and the generated voltage is 233. Now this is the final reading. The current is 0.68, and generated voltage is 265. Now the rated current of the field current is 1 ampere. So we are gradually increasing the field current up to 1 ampere. It is a 0.73 ampere, and the generated voltage is 275. The next reading is 0.83, and generated voltage is 290 volts.
0.9 तक जाने दो, उससे ज़्यादा नहीं. ठीक है.
This is a final reading. It is a 0.91, and the generated voltage is 301 volt. Good morning to all the students. Today we are going to perform the practical external characteristics of the DC generator. Open circuit characteristics of the